Hi, this is Lauren from Daisy Cottage Designs, and I'm here with a video tutorial for you on the open stitch blanket that you see on the screen in front of you. You might describe it as a lacy crochet blanket. I know that most people think of lace as being worked with very thin yarn, but lace is actually just made using tall stitches and chains to give a project an open and airy feel. So this project fits the bill if you consider those criteria. So the first thing you are going to want to do is grab a J crochet hook, which is a 6mm hook. The tulip hooks are my favorite. I'll link those below. And I'm using worsted weight yarn. Today I'm using Hobby Lobby Soft and Sleek in the shade Silver Gray. But for the blanket that I showed you before, I used the shade Blush. I just wanted to make sure you could see my work a little bit better, so I decided to use a slightly darker color or a different color than my skin for this tutorial. So the first thing you're going to want to do is chain an even number that is bigger than 8. So this will work on any even chain as long as it's bigger than 8. Now, I can't imagine a project where you would want to start with just 8 chains, but you could if you wanted to. For the blanket that I showed you, I started with a chain of 140, and that made a blanket that was about 37 inches wide. And today I have a swatch that is a chain of 16, and after you have your chain, you're going to single crochet in the second chain and in each chain across. So I've already done that, so you might want to pause the video and go ahead and make your foundation row of single crochets. Now, once you do that, you're going to realize that you have one fewer stitch than you did single crochets. So I started with a chain of 16, so I have 15 single crochets. If you started with a chain of 140, like I did with my blanket, you're going to end up with 139 single crochets. If you started with a chain of 300, you'd end up with 299 single crochets. All right, so after you have your foundation row of single crochets, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to chain one and turn our work. And that chain one is not going to count as a stitch, so we're going to work a double crochet in the very first stitch. Now we're also going to double crochet into the next stitch. And now we are going to chain one and skip a stitch. So we chain one and we're going to skip this next stitch, and then we're going to double crochet into the stitch after that. And we're going to do that all the way across the row. So we're going to chain one, skip a stitch, double crochet in the stitch after that. We're going to chain one, skip a stitch, double crochet in the stitch after that. So you can see we're creating these chain one spaces across our row. So we're going to chain one, skip a stitch, and double crochet in the stitch after that. And now we're going to chain one, skip a stitch, double crochet in the stitch after that. We'll chain one and skip a stitch, and now there are only 3 stitches left, so we're going to skip a stitch and double crochet in the next stitch. And then we will also double crochet in the last stitch of the row. So this is what it should look like. You have your row of single crochet that you did before the video started, and then you have the row of double crochets and chain one spaces that we just made. Now you're going to chain one and turn your work. And again, that chain one isn't going to count as a stitch. So we're going to single crochet right into this first stitch. And we're going to single crochet into this next stitch. And then we're going to single crochet into each chain one space across the row, as well as each double crochet. So we will insert our hook under that chain one and single crochet. And then we'll single crochet in the next stitch. Now we'll single crochet under this chain one, and then we'll single crochet in the next stitch. And so what that's described as is single crocheting in a chain one space, but you actually stick your hook right into that chain one space to make your single crochet. So there's our single crochet in the chain one space, and then we'll single crochet in the double crochet. And we're going to do that all the way across. Just make sure you single crochet in each stitch and in each chain one space. I always feel like the planes decide to fly over my house whenever I start recording a video. Okay, so I have the 2 double crochets at the end of my row. I'm going to single crochet into both of those. And then that will end that row. And so it almost looks like the Colosseum to me. I don't know if that makes sense. And I think maybe the stitch could be called the Colosseum stitch. All right, so now we're going to chain 1 and turn our work. And now we are going to make this row again. So the double crochet and chain 1 row. So we'll chain 1 and turn our work. We're going to double crochet into that very first stitch. And then we're going to double crochet into the stitch after that. And now we're going to chain 1 and skip a stitch. And then we're going to double crochet into the stitch after that. And your double crochets should line up with the double crochets you made 2 rows ago. So now we'll chain 1 and skip a stitch and double crochet in the next stitch. Chain 1, skip a stitch, double crochet in the stitch after that. And we'll just do that all the way across our row. So chain 1, skip a stitch, double crochet in the next. Chain 1, skip a stitch, double crochet in the next. Chain 1, skip a stitch, double crochet in the next. And then we have 1 stitch left, so we will double crochet in the last stitch of the row. And then you would chain 1 and turn your work, and you would single crochet in each stitch and each chain 1 space across. So I hope this helps. If you have any questions about the stitch, let me know. So again, I started with a chain of 140 and I worked 97 rows, and that gave me a blanket that's approximately 37 inches square. And so if you follow the link in the description, I have a link to the pattern, which will show you 11 different sizes. It gives you all the starting chain information, the number of rows, and then how much yarn you will need for each size. So I hope you have a great day and happy crocheting.